Good Saturday morning of the fourth week. We're staying with Mark. This is still chapter 6, verses 30 to 34, actually. The whole thing has been chapter 6. The apostles gathered together. These must have been a series of stories that Mark put together. Because just the way he does it, the apostles gathered together. You see a guy weaving together a narrative of sayings and events into some form of systemic form. See? The apostles gathered together with Jesus and reported all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." People were coming and going in great numbers, and they had no opportunity even to eat. So they went off in the boat, think of the church, by themselves to a deserted place. Okay, that's tricky. You went in a boat to a deserted place. So they took a boat ride to a desert. That's tricky, okay? But I think I'm going to take a shot here, and I would say the boat is the church, and the church guides you into the desert, okay? People saw them leaving, and many came to know about it. They hastened there on foot from all the towns and arrived at the place before them. Now, Christ is still in a boat. When Jesus disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd. Change the analogy there. And he began to teach them many things. Yeah. It's a desert experience. But the image of the boat, it doesn't fit. Doesn't fit easily. But if you take it symbolically, you get it. See? And by the way, you see, let me give you a pitch for making retreats, okay? And our passion as communities do it. That's one of our missions to the church, is our retreat houses. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for that retreat house in West Hartford. When I made a retreat in 1957 as a high school kid, I wouldn't have. That's where I got my vocation, right then and there. When the students came in and sang, and then we walked through the monastery. I told you that story. Everything I didn't want any part of, they had in spades. I told you that. Woolen habit, wearing sandals. I'm a kid, okay? And then the bed, the monastery room, so the bed was three wooden planks on two cut down horses, whatever they call them, and then a straw mattress and a straw pillow and a woolen blanket. You gotta be. By the time I finished the tour, I asked Father Leo what order was he, and he said the Passionist. I said, "I'm going to join you." It was just that powerful. Yeah, see, come away by yourself to a deserted place and rest. That's the very, very essence of monasticism. Is you come to a rest. But you see, that's also the ministry of a retreat. Out of our monastic experience, we ask you to come join us for a short time and practice the silence. Learn to be quiet. Be silent and know that I am God. That is it. Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. Remember, that is the language of Moses in the crossing of Exodus, the great story of Exodus, to come to rest, you see? Rest a while in the promised land, you see? I think it's so important to live some way or other the reflective life, the silence of the reflective life. I love that line, be quiet and know that I am God. That's not just the language of the monastery, which it certainly is, but it should be the language of our own hearts, that we can be silent and quiet. We don't always have to have the television on. You don't have to be chatting. Sometimes you just want to walk quietly. My father was a walker. He and my mom. And sometimes they would go down to the beach, just before he died, and they would walk. He was in his 80s. They were in their 80s. And they would walk along the beach at Savin Rock in Connecticut, New Haven. And I'm not sure they were always talking. I think they walked in the silence of the ocean and the seashore. I'm virtually certain because the pictures I have them, they're not standing next to each other. They're a few feet apart and they're walking. In fact, the picture I have of them was taken by the newspaper. They must have been reported on it because they would go there every day and walk. And somebody told the New Haven Register about them. The guy came and took a picture of them and he put it in the paper. That's what I have on my wall. The actual newspaper, page with them picture them walking a long time ago. Yeah, long time ago, maybe 40, 45 years ago. Yeah. Anyhow, it's more than that. Yeah, someplace maybe around, I don't want to guess now, I can't do it anymore, but a long time ago. You see? They're walking in silence, but there is a communion there that has taken place. They're not alone. They're not lonely. They're not bored. They're together. They're together. That's the truth of the monastery as well, whatever that may be worth to you. My Uncle Harry came and visited me one time, and he was in Hartford, and he was struck by the silence. There's 100 guys, maybe not 100. I would say at least 80 guys living in that house. You could hear a pin drop. And it wasn't that people who live in isolated lives. We had a wonderful community of friends. I mean, you had to know that. But I think we discovered each other in our silence. It was a friendship rooted on a common faith, a common vocation, and a common life. And we had to learn how to live together. In many ways, through prayer and silence. One of the very important thing in the monastery, whatever this is worth, is contemplative prayer. And we used to, as a community, get together in the morning and in the evening. And in the morning for 1 hour in silent prayer while the liturgy, the Mass was going on. And dead quiet, you could hear a pin drop, and there would be a very large number of us in the room. Very, very quiet. It's in that silence. In fact, I think that was more intimate with the liturgy than when we went to the new liturgy the following year, a couple of years later, where we actively participated. I think the most intimate experience I ever had of the Eucharist was in the silence of the monastery, in silence, silent prayer, in the quiet. Because in the quiet, you have that line, be silent and know that I am God. In the quiet, reflective moment, one is open to the divine intrusion. I believe that actually very strongly. I live silently. I live by myself. I live in silence vastly part of the 99% of the day, other than when I go for church in the morning and when I'm teaching, of course. But the vast part of my day, I'm quiet. I'm here by myself. I put on the television after supper. I like to watch mystery movies or mystery stories, I could live on gangster stories, whatever, see? But the vast part of the day, I'm quiet. And that's what I kid and say, that's the monk in me. But I think that's a healthy monkishness. I think we all should learn to walk silently sometime in our life. My mother walked alone a lot after my dad died. She would still walk all over West Haven. And it's just not walking. It's walking in silence, in memory, thought. I'm grateful for my monastic experience because I still live it. But I saw it in my family too, who were not monks or nuns, but learned to live in the silence of their heart. Be quiet and know that I am God. My father loved the ocean, so did my mother. But we didn't chat. We and very often just sat there. Yeah. You don't need to talk. Sometimes all you need is to see and be silent. And the world will speak to you of her own beauty and power, grandeur, elegance. That's the truth. I'm grateful for the ocean. I'm grateful for the wilderness. I'm grateful for the silence that my father taught me and my mother taught me, and the monks. All those hours in the monastery of silence, creating a community of love. Still the best friends of my life. The monks, my classmates. Still 4 of us left. 4 or 5 have already died, etc. Yeah, that's the truth. You all have a good day, a good weekend, okay? Bye-bye.